and welcome to the Pretty Smart Business Podcast. I am your host, Sheena White, and today I have a very special guest. Her name is Marta Spirk, and Marta is a professional singer, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and speaking coach who helps established entrepreneurs turn their message into a powerful signature talk. Through her coaching programs, keynotes, podcasts, and award-winning book, The Empowered Woman, The Ultimate Roadmap to Business Success, Marta blends storytelling and strategy to help clients inspire audiences, expand their influence, and grow their income through speaking. We welcome Marta Spirk.
This is so fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. Okay, so first I like to hear people's origin story. So how did you kind of decide to start your own business?
Well, it all started with the plot twist of having triplets. I've had an entrepreneurial background a little bit. I'm from Brazil. I started teaching English when I was 14, and so I would tutor people and make money that way. But officially starting my coaching business began after I had triplets when they were 9 months old. I realized I didn't want to do the work with languages anymore. It felt like a lifetime at that point. It had been almost 20 years. And so I decided to, I came across the opportunity online. Direct sales was all the buzz at the time. Make money off your phone while your babies are napping. And that's how I started. I started understanding that I could create my own courses, my own offers. And receive compensation for sharing my knowledge and my encouragement. So that's how I began, and it was quite the roller coaster ride, as you know, since then. But it's been 8 years since I started.
That's awesome. Yeah, actually, it's funny that you say that because I started my first business when my son was like around 9 months old as well. So, and then you didn't have any other kids, but you had three already, so it was okay. I had a second one when our business was about a year and a half old. So why did I do that? That was a terrible idea.
It's just it's something about motherhood, I guess. It's like I can do anything.
Yeah, I mean, well, my now ex was like, "We're starting a business," and I was like, "We're what?" And he was like, "Yeah, totally. It's gonna be awesome." I'm like, "Huh?" So I did not think I could do everything. I just had no choice, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So, okay, so then you started when your kids were little. If you could go back and tell yourself then anything, what would it be?
I think it's mainly what I was being told, but it was hard to accept. But maybe if it came from me, I would have accepted more. It was
Maybe, maybe
just
not.
maybe not. It just takes time, and I had heard a lot of people say it doesn't take time. You just have to find the right edge. And yeah, but it takes time to find, what makes you unique and all of that. And I wanted it to be fast, and I resented the journey in many ways. But now when I look back, I have so many stories to tell. And especially as I support my clients, as they're going to some of the pitfalls, I can say 100%, with certainty, this is not the path, or this is the path, or believe me, I've been around. I've tried several different things. So it wasn't easy. I will tell you that, but I would have told myself, just stick with it. Stick with it because you will have the lessons. There won't be a big break, because I think that was one of the things that I was thinking that was going to happen, especially seeing other people's journeys. Somebody will come and swoop you up, and take you. And this one mentor is going to be the game changer. I've had mentors that really helped me, but it wasn't one thing. It's never one thing. I guess
Mhm.
that's what I would have told her.
Yeah, no, I totally agree because I think, I don't know, everyone wants to be an overnight success.
Mhm.
But if you look at every single overnight success, they actually are not overnight
They're
successes.
not.
Like, even, I mean, and I think it's funny because people will talk about people who are young, like say like Billie Eilish or something, who was young when she was very young when she first got her like big break.
Yeah.
But Did you know her first album was recorded in her brother's closet?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Her and her brother, they literally made the closet into a little baby recording studio, and they recorded it from his closet.
Mm.
Like, they've been doing this for years and doing it over and over, and like from the closet,
Right.
before anybody knew who they were. So
Mhm.
there is no such thing as an overnight success.
There isn't.
Okay. So now, knowing what how does someone get started with being more visible?
I would say it's just having the courage to put yourself out there. One of the things that I tell clients all the time is if you're doing nothing, do something. And once you start being more consistent with doing things, then let's get strategic. Because at times, looking for the perfect strategy stops people and they never start. And it's the infamous start messy. That has been my entire process is I'd rather go out there and figure out what works and what doesn't work and get the practice and get their feedback than not do anything and just sit wondering what could be, you know? So the biggest problem with visibility is that there is no other way other than getting visible, and that scares people a lot because they don't want to be judged, they don't want to be rejected. But guess what? That's the process. Wanting to start your business means you are going to be rejected. There will be people that won't like you, and that's why many people don't even start their business. So, understanding that people build trust by what they see. So, seeing your face, seeing you show up is going to help with the warming up process and having somebody inquire, having somebody, want to even entertain hiring you or working with you. It's because they saw you. It's because you showed up somewhere. So I would say start in any way possible, and then taking baby steps towards what I call what's your next level of discomfort, because everybody has one. Even the most visible person, there is a next level of something that scares them. That's the direction. So for some people, being in an interview like this scares them so much, like they would, not sleep the night before or whatever it may be, right? They start sweating and, send me the questions ahead of time. I want to be prepared, which is totally fine. Everybody's at a different stage of their journey. But some people have been doing this, like myself, for many years. So I know what to expect. I know how to handle myself. There are other things that are scary for me still. So what's
Mm-hmm.
the next step? Start looking for the next step. Once you start getting too comfortable, that's not a good growth zone. So start looking for, okay, applying to speak at a larger conference, right? Or hosting my own event. There's so many different things that you could be doing. Just look for that next one.
Okay, I love that. I was thinking while you were talking about being uncomfortable, and I think for me, the reason I struggle with social media, I'll do like business tips all day long, whatever. But when I come to like my own stuff, like my own, like sharing my life, like why does anyone care what I ate for lunch?
Mm. Right.
So I don't ever post anything because I'm like, why? Like why would anyone care? So what would you say to someone like that who's just like, why does anyone care?
I think it depends. It depends on your business. It depends on what you want to share. Throughout the years, I think I fine tuned that a lot because I used to see other people sharing, especially in their stories, every waking moment, right? This is what I ate for lunch. And it's like they're not a fitness professional. So, to your point, if you do not have anything to do with nutrition, then it may not be interesting to show what you eat. And sometimes it may because people may be curious, but it's not going to be the focal point. If somebody is a health professional, then talking more about their eating habits may be more interesting because it connects to their business. And one thing that I think has been really helpful is ChatGPT or AI, because sometimes I want to talk about something, but I don't really know right off the bat what the connection is with my business. So I literally put that into AI and say, this is what I just did. I just took a trip. So, for example, I just took a trip to Yellowstone with my family over the holiday, and I didn't necessarily want it to be connected to business, like show up, blah, 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 because I could. This is the point I'm trying to make. Like, I could say, hey, I just went to Yellowstone. This is what happened. It was a great time to reflect, and it made me think about, how it's good to take a break and to then, go back onto social media. Help me write a post talking about
Mm-hmm.
this and talking about how people should do XYZ based on my expertise, because then AI probably should know what you already do and it'll create something for you. So I feel like it's easier to show tidbits of your life that are connected to business and create that segue. And again, if you can't think of how to create the segue to save yourself time, have AI help you. But it's also a matter of potentially inspiration. So sometimes I share about how I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's not connected to speaking. But in some ways it is, because it's being uncomfortable and it's challenging myself. So sometimes I put that into AI and I'm like, I just did a Jiu-Jitsu competition and it taught me about resilience and trying something new. Connect that with speaking and it'll create it for me, So there
Mm-hmm.
are many possibilities.
I like it. I like it. It's like I always say that pageantry helped me so much in my business because A, you have to learn interview skills,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the number one area of competition.
Yeah.
B, you literally are going there to be judged.
Yeah.
And honestly, some judges' comments, like you have to have thick skin to
Yeah.
be okay with reading your judge comments.
Mm.
Like, yikesy. Like at the last pageant I did, we had a rogue judge and she was so scathing to everyone. Now it was across the board, but if you don't know that, right, you're only reading yours. And
Yeah.
I nicely, because I talked to some other people, knew it wasn't just me, but just reading that, I was like, this is so
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to hate me? Yeah, it was a great experience. It was an awesome pageant. I loved it. And I'm planning on doing it again. So, yeah, so sometimes those things that don't seem connected
Mm.
can still connect because they give you skills that
Absolutely.
then do connect to your business.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay.
totally what I've been using. So if
Mm-hmm.
anyone's struggling with social media, can look for that connection or use AI.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's talk about speaking. How did you get your first speaking gig?
So I feel like I had been in front of people for a long time with being a teacher. I also grew up in church, so I was always, on stage singing and also speaking, so and interpreting as well because of the whole language thing. That's the whole piece of me being on stage was I was an interpreter for a long time. And I still do freelance as well. But the big thing was when I started building my business and I worked with a media mentor, she said, you should look for speaking opportunities. Why don't you connect with organizations that you have been affiliated with and say, hey, I'm looking for speaking opportunities. So I did. I connected with the Alumni Association for CU Denver, where I got my master's. And I said, hey, I know it's been a while, but I launched my coaching business, etc. And within like 3 months, they invited me to do a keynote for an alumni luncheon. And it was my very first keynote. And I was kind of awkward. I remember when I finished, I literally said, and that's it, and walked off the stage. And I asked my friend, that's become my friend from the Alumni Association. She's like, oh, I don't remember that at all. I thought you did great. So, anyways, but it was my first, and you kind of suck, whatever it is that you do the first time. So that's how I got started because somebody said, you need to get in front of people and you need to build these skills. And so I started doing that. Then I started looking into what it would take to do a TED Talk. And ever since then, applying to speak or getting invited because the more exposure you get, the more referrals you get for speaking as well. So that's how it began. It's just putting myself out there.
And that's it.
Yeah, essentially, that's what it takes. People don't believe it because they don't want to get rejected, right? But it's true. You got to start just asking, and that's what I tell my clients too. Because when I'm, having sales calls, and they're like, "You can guarantee that you will help me find speaking engagements," and I'm like, "It's really not that hard. You just have to start asking your network and sending out emails and following up. It's just like any type of sales, except you're selling yourself in your talk." Um, but that's how it begins. You've got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, no, I feel it. Yeah, I mean, like I wouldn't call myself a speaker, but I was thinking while you're talking, and I've spoken in front of like 6 or 7 different groups. So I guess I technically am a speaker.
Yes, you are.
Who'd have thunk it?
Mhm.
Okay, so then when you're thinking about packaging yourself to sell, what's a good way of kind of taking all the things that you're doing or your successes and kind of packaging it in this way so that people will buy you speaking?
Yeah. So it starts with building a signature talk, and that's really what I help people do because it's hard to package yourself. I mean, I think it's an ever evolving journey. My husband always says, "What's the next evolution? What's the next, iteration of the business?" Because we learn new skills. We start seeing that people respond to certain things that we do better. The market kind of changes, the needs change, and it's a constant search for what's the perfect marriage here between what I can offer and do and what people really want from me. So the whole thing of, you find your ideal target audience and you create your help statement and you're set for the next 30 years. This doesn't exist. It's going to be changing, especially because we get bored anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to change. So that's first disclaimer there is don't think you're just going to be set in stone. However, your life story does not change. And that's what I help women with too. It's because sometimes we don't think we have anything too interesting. Some people are like, I've had kind of a boring life. I've had a normal-ish childhood, no big traumas. So I don't really have much to say. And it's like, no, there are things that you can pull and talk about and lessons that you can bring. Because it's not how crazy the story is. It's what are the lessons? Because at the end of the day, nobody really cares about the story. As inspiring as it can be, everybody cares about themselves. So what are the stories that you can pull? But then there are the people that have had big traumatic events happen in their lives, like the loss of a loved one, whatever it may be, or disease or something that they have gone through, and they are like, I don't want this to be a pity party. I don't want to bring the room down with my crazy story. And it's like, no, there is a way that you can tell even the saddest story to bring people up, right? To encourage them and empower them, because it's all about the lessons again. So this is what I help women with is tell me the story, and they just kind of word vomit, and I'm like, that's fine, please do, because that's all is the sequence of events. Now let's create a beginning, a middle, and an end, and pull the lessons and the stories. And that's how you create a talk, a title, a blurb, and this is what you sell. And again, with AI, this has become so much easier because we create the outline together, but we input that into AI and we say, what are the main themes here? What are some title options that are going to be very, very catchy? And it comes up with amazing ideas that we may not have come up with, or that it would have taken us a while to. And I've been seeing great results with clients landing opportunities because of this whole package that we create, and even clarity into their messaging and business after we do that. Oh yeah, this is what I do. This is what people have been telling me. Because sometimes people will tell you, right? You're so good at this. And it's like, not really. I don't know what you're talking about. When we put everything together, it kind of, surfaces. It's a beautiful process.
I love it. So you were talking about if people they feel like they have a boring life. What if somebody has too many things? Like they've gone through so much
Yeah.
crap that they're just like, I don't even know what to pick because I could talk about these 15 different things I've overcome
Yeah.
because it feels like my life is a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Oh gosh. No, that happens too. Having too many stories. And I think that's the perfect opportunity for writing a book, right? Because then you can expand on different things. I have key stories that I share in my signature talks, but it depends on the topic and the room and what you're going for. So when I'm talking about overcoming challenges and things, I typically bring in my triplet story, right? Because talk about a huge challenge in life, a curveball, something you weren't expecting, people can resonate with that. Even, and I always say this, you may not be a triplet parent, but you understand that this is a hard situation. So it's all about pulling those stories. But then there are moments when I'm talking about being scared, getting in front of people. And I usually share a story of when I was 10 and I went to Disney World for the first time. And I kind of misspoke and I said some stuff wrong in English. And it's like, I didn't come out the womb speaking English, people. This is not my first language, but here I am, which means if English is your first language, which to most people that I speak to it is, there's nothing you can't do. Just get out there and start talking and start speaking. So it depends, I guess, on the audience, the topic. We can absolutely infuse several stories into one talk. We just got to make everything go together. And you can have more than one talk. And I actually recommend having at least a couple different, because it looks nice when you're pitching yourself and saying, I could talk about this or I could talk about this. And it's a similar talk, it's a similar structure, but the focus is a little bit different. So you absolutely can leverage all of the stories in your life, because stories are the lifeblood of speaking. Because if you talk at people with concepts and intangible things, they will doze off. They won't, pay attention. Now, if you bring in a story and you say, it was a very cold morning, they're like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I need to follow, because it's like they're watching a movie in their heads, So stories all day long.
Yeah, it's like that's why I like Jim Collins' book so much.
Mm,
Because he always has an example and a story of whatever concept he's trying to teach.
mhm.
And so I use a ton of those stories and those concepts to teach something to my clients because it just makes it so much easier and they remember it.
Yeah. Well, in client stories as well. So that's something else to start paying attention to. And I actually encourage clients to create a story bank of different client stories and testimonials. Because when you're going on a sales call or maybe a networking, it doesn't even have to be standing in front of a room talking for 30, 60 minutes. It's sometimes in a 15-minute conversation with somebody in a networking group, they will mention something. It's like, oh, this reminds me of my client, blah, blah, blah. So it's just training yourself to find those key moments. And it could be other people's stories. It doesn't even have to be yours.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so where does someone get a hold of you if they want to learn more about being visible?
Yes. So I am visible myself. I practice what I preach. So you should be able to find me anywhere except for TikTok. That's one thing that I've decided not to venture into. But you can go to my website, martaspirk.com. You will find more information about my speaking, my podcast, and also how I work with clients. So you can book a call directly on my website for us to chat more about your stories, what you're wanting to go with your speaking journey. And that's a free complimentary call that you can book. I also have LinkedIn. I'm very active on there, on Instagram, and on Facebook. So just Google me, Marta Spirk. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one out there, thanks to my husband for this very unique last name, and reach out.
I love it. I used to have a very unique last name, but it was too long, so I got rid of it.
Mm,
Well, thank you so much, Marta, for being with us today on the Pretty Smart Business podcast. And thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
thanks.